How does gentrification affect global alt scenes? Imagine a neighborhood once buzzing with underground gigs, rebellious art, and tight-knit music communities. Now picture that same place changing, becoming more polished and expensive. Gentrification is reshaping many of these spaces around the world, and it has a big impact on alternative music scenes. In many cities, alt scenes like punk, emo, screamo, and indie thrived in affordable venues such as DIY spaces, underground clubs, and community centers. These places were easy for new bands to perform at and connect with fans without huge costs. When wealthier residents move in and property prices go up, rents and property values rise too. This often forces small venues to close or relocate because they can no longer afford the new costs. Losing these venues makes it harder for emerging bands to find places to perform and grow. It also limits opportunities for marginalized artists who relying on grassroots spaces that are open and inclusive. When venues close, the local music ecosystem weakens, and the community-driven spirit of alt scenes can fade. Gentrification also changes the neighborhood's demographics and cultural vibe. It often shifts focus toward more mainstream, commercially appealing entertainment. This can push out the raw, experimental sounds that define many alt genres. For example, in New York City's Lower East Side, the punk and indie scenes were once central to the neighborhood's identity. As gentrification took hold, many of those venues and artists moved away or disappeared. Another effect is that local music scenes become more commercialized. Sometimes, alt music gets turned into a product for tourists or wealthier audiences. This can lead to a narrowing of musical styles, favoring polished acts over the more radical or abrasive sounds that are typical of emo, screamo, and underground rock. Indie rock, in particular, can be repackaged to appeal to a broader, wealthier crowd, which can dilute its original rebellious edge. Despite these challenges, some alt communities fight back by creating their own spaces. DIY venues and community-run hubs often resist commercial pressures and keep the spirit alive. These spaces focus on inclusivity, activism, and supporting marginalized groups. They give new artists a platform and foster a sense of shared ownership, helping the scene evolve even as neighborhoods change. In the end, gentrification can threaten the authenticity and diversity of global alt scenes by pushing out venues and changing neighborhood cultures. But the resilience of grassroots spaces and community efforts shows that alternative music can adapt and survive in shifting urban environments.